Now I've just come back to this aquarium after about 6 months. All in all, the aquarium looks very nice, but there is some fine tuning that needs to be done. Now down at Majestic Aquariums, we've got a spin test machine for doing the water tests, and it's very easy to become reliant on the spin test. And for a retail shop like us, the spin test is absolutely wonderful because it's super quick, but it's really not what I would be looking at to fine tune an aquarium. It's really wonderful for identifying problems and for getting a quick overview of the aquarium. But if you want to run a reef aquarium, I would be looking at your own testing procedure, which gives you the results that you want. And at the end of the day, the look of the aquarium is what actually counts. So I do have customers that rely on the spin test, but they're very happy with their aquariums. But if your aquarium is good and you want it better, I wouldn't go looking for something like a spin test. If your aquarium is bad and you want it better, the spin test is awesome for us to advise you on and for us to fix problems. But it isn't something I'd be looking at to fine tune. What I'd be looking at is getting more accurate tests that you can do and log yourself. And if you're happy with the results of your tank, then you can be happy with your test kits. If you're got a certain testing routine and you think it's too hard and you don't want to do it, then maybe you need to change your brands. Or if you believe you're doing it and you're still not getting the results, then you really want to change your brands. So I myself tend to use JBL, but everyone's got their own preference for what test kits seem to work for them. Then if in doubt and you want to check the accuracy of your test kits, but remember that your test kits is one thing, but how you do the test is even more important. For example, if you use the same test tubes for all your different tests, you're never going to get accurate results due to residuals if you don't wash out your test tubes well enough, or the way that you test can be a huge variable. So if you want to check that, what I'd recommend doing is doing a full set of water tests on one sample of water with the way you want to test, regardless whether it be JBL or any other brand, and then send a sample of that same water off to Triton, and they can do a full set of ICP tests, and then that will give you a fairly accurate understanding whether what you've tested is accurate, because you could certainly rely a lot more on the accuracy of the Triton test. You could also run it down to Majestic and do an ICP test as well on that same sample. That way you'd have Triton, which you'd consider to be the real test. Then you'd have however you've tested it, and you could also do a little, set your own expectations for how realistic or accurate the spin test actually is. So there's all different brands of test kits that you can get. Now, some test kits are harder to test, so they end up just staying in your drawer. Other tests are very easy to test, but they're not as accurate as you may need. And then other tests are all about maintenance. It's all about how clean you keep test tubes and how well you're servicing the actual test, all the equipment, to make sure that you're getting accurate readings. But regardless of whatever you're doing, sending away a Triton test is really the best, because the Triton test will give you actual lab tests, not just hobby tests. So if you test the water in any way that you decide to do it, and then send off one of these, then you can find out if what you're doing and how you're doing it is accurate. It's also good just to send off one of these every now and then, even just for no particular reason, because you're getting such a large array of things, and you set up a little account with Triton so you can compare the tests to last time. So therefore, you're getting a good little snapshot of what your aquarium is doing, especially with trace elements and so forth. And it's a very good way of improving your aquarium and finding out little problems that you didn't know that you didn't know. Now, I've been called back to this aquarium just due to algae growth increasing. It's taking a very short period of time to get algae on the glass. And also one of the corals is starting to bleach out a little bit. and the corals will bleach out, meaning that they're dropping their zooxanthellae. And they will drop their zooxanthellae for basically two main reasons. One is potentially too much light, and the other one is if the temperature is too warm. So this aquarium has recently had the light increased in intensity. So this light goes on at 7 in the morning and goes off at 10 at night. So, and recently the intensity within that time has been dramatically increased. So in a perfect world, the way that I like to schedule my lights is the blues will come on at a certain time. Let's call it 10 o'clock, for example, AM. And then I want the blues to slowly ramp up, and then I want them to go off at a maximum of 10 o'clock. So the sun comes up in the morning, the sun goes down at night. So I like to have 12 hours maximum of light period, and then I would like to have about a 4-hour window in the middle of the day which has full lighting. And when I say full lighting, I mean if your lights are spec'd correctly for the tank, then I want full lighting. If you've gone and bought yourself lights that are too powerful for your aquarium, then you probably need to take that into consideration. If you have a small aquarium and your lights are designed for a much bigger tank, then you need to make an estimation of what your maximum is. So I would not go up to 100% if your lights are over-spec'd. If you think your lights are 20% over-spec'd, then just go to 80%, for example, as a guide. So I like blues on at 10, blues off at 10. Then I'll have, say, 11, the full spectrum lights start coming on, and then they'll go up to peak for a maximum of 4 hours. Then they'll go down and they'll turn off by, say, 9. So my blue goes like that, my white goes like this. So basically sun up, sun down. And the way that it works in the wild is the sun comes up in the morning and it's going to reflect off the water, and most of your colors will reflect in the morning. It's blue that penetrates. That's why if you look early in the morning, the ocean is often super blue. Then as the sun comes over, you're going to get much better penetration. Then on the afternoon, the colors are going to reflect again, and the blue is going to penetrate. So therefore, I will have more blue, because blue is really your penetrating color. Now, another really important factor with light is lids. Now, lids are great for keeping it all nice and inside and contained, but lids are definitely another reflection point. And if you got like dust all over your thing, then you're also losing a lot of light penetration. So if you can draw anything in the thing, then it's probably not ideal. Now, this aquarium has been getting 25% weekly water changes, which I would suggest is excessively enthusiastic. It does have quite a lot of fish bouncing around in here though, so there's a lot of fish that grow very big. So the capacity of this aquarium is definitely going to be challenged at all times, because these fish are just going to grow and grow and grow, which means it will get to a point where the capacity has been well and truly exceeded. I would suggest that the current situation is up there now. So the things we need to be doing is controlling nitrate. So the first thing we need to be doing with nitrate is making sure the skimmer is really well cleaned. How well are you cleaning it? How often are you cleaning it? Okay, so it's getting cleaned every week. We really would rather it be done twice a week. And then what we'd really like to do with the skimmer getting cleaned twice a week is to start adding no-pox. So no-pox is a organic carbon product. So there's a beautifully arranged dosing pump here. So if you added a extension on the dosing pump, in a perfect world, I'd put the extension on top here, and then if it was possible to relocate that controller, which is now going to be in the way, you could put that potentially on the door, somewhere out of the way, so when you open the door up, the controller could potentially be on the door, or just have to mount it underneath or move it so it is all going to fit. So remove the controller somewhere and then put the extension on top. And then putting the extension on top would then allow you to have no-pox. And the no-pox organic carbon product is going to help control the nitrate. And you could potentially look at reducing the amount of water changes. So this tank is getting a lot of water change, and that is a very, very good thing. But it is a fair bit of effort. The other thing is that there is quite a fair few old school medias in here. And the thing with these old school medias is they produce nitrification without denitrification. So this looks like Marine Pure here. So that's the real stuff. That's the stuff you actually want, because that offers parallel denitrification. And then basically everything else on the market is a copy of Marine Pure, because Marine Pure is the one that did all the research. So I would rely on Marine Pure for my filtration. And the reason why I'd want to rely on Marine Pure is because that offers parallel denitrification. So if you remove some of the other medias, you might find your nitrate level reduce. And if you start dosing organic carbon like no-pox, and you can slowly get that level right, and make sure you clean your skimmer twice a week, because you don't want to be using any organic carbon products and not clean your skimmer. Otherwise you can create bad situations.